Hello? Hello, hello. Can y'all hear me? Hello. Hello, Layla. Hello, Kevin. Welcome, everybody. We still got some time, so we'll be starting stream soon. So I guess I'll put that down. Starting soon. Let's see. Starting 3 p.m. EST time is when we start. It started. Well, we're still waiting for a little bit, but you know, this is kind of like the time where just chilling with you guys, checking on chat while I doodle a little bit while we wait. So, yeah. How's everybody's weekend going? Hope everybody's doing good. You get the Pokemon name idea? Yeah, you know, I hope it works out. I mean, it's a good idea. It might be honestly down the line in the far future, so don't know exactly when it would happen, but it is or when I say when, it makes it sound like we are going with it. I don't know if we'll go with it, but if it does happen, you know, you guys will be there to see it happen. So yeah, you know, you animate on sketch. No, no, I've tried animating on Autodesk. I mean, it works. Honestly, it's not that bad if you have a bad computer. If your computer or laptop's not the best and you have a hard time running in animation software, Autodesk Sketchbook honestly isn't bad, and the fact that it's free is kind of like a nice plus, but it has so many shortcomings when it comes to like ease of access for certain kind of tools and things to do on it that, I don't know, makes it a little bit tough to do. But I mean, you could try it out. The fact that it's free, you know. Yeah. And I'll try to draw this as fast as I can, but see if you guys can guess what it is I'm drawing. Or who it is I'm drawing. If people know. I mean, it's kind of hard because I haven't really drawn who this is already, but you guys can try to guess who this is. And I don't know if I'll be able to do it justice, this character justice, but we'll try to draw it in like, you know, however how much time we have left. I'll try to give it a shot. You know this character? Really? Dang, I like barely drew anything yet. How'd you guess it in like the very little amount of information that that's on here? Yeah, if people want to give a guess as to who this is. Yeah, I totally butchered butchered this drawing. Oh my goodness. It's kind of hard because I'm just doing it in the moment. I'm not like doing any super breakdowns or anything, so it's kind of tricky. On They're kind of doing like this pose with their. I'm not gonna draw the rest of the pose that they're doing in terms of the expression, but you know, I feel like if you didn't grow up watching this, I feel like you might not have a clue as to who this might be, but I'm just copying it. I have like the image up on the side for reference, so I'm not making this up off the top of my head, but yeah. We'll be starting soon, so welcome anybody who's joining us now. Welcome. We'll be starting soon. Today we are animating water. More specifically, I didn't mention what type of water we'll be animating, but or what type of water, but we'll be animating, or I'll be animating, a water splash, because water can be quite tricky, and since we only have about like 2 getting your crit. Wait, did you say something about getting? Wow, you're so smooth, Kevin. You're so classy. Hello, everyone. But yeah, I'll be animating a water splash today because water is kind of challenging, and considering we only have 2 hours, I try to pick something about water that would be kind of dynamic to do, but also hopefully enjoyable to watch while streaming and kind of chill while I talk with you guys and all that. But yeah, I definitely butchered. I butchered her face so bad. Oh boy. Oh well. Anybody have any idea who this is? Whose face I absolutely butchered? Time is almost up though. Let me just add her hair. I know. Oh my goodness. Hey, you know what? I did this in about like five minutes, so I would say that, considering how much time I had, it's okay. Okay, we'll be starting soon. Where is she from? No one has any idea. Where'd Microwave go? I thought Microwave said they knew who this was. That's so sad. Nobody knows who this is. That's crazy. It doesn't make me feel old, but I'm kind of like, man, the new season is coming out. I mean, it's already out and it's kind of happening right now, so I'm kind of like, I thought people would start getting into this show again, but I guess maybe not as much as I thought people would be getting into it. Let's see. It's not Korra, is it? You can't put it. That's true. I guess if you don't know, does anybody know which show this is from? I totally messed up the face. Oh my goodness. I can't look at anybody. May have left. Hello, everyone. Hello, Drawing with Geeks. I don't know what that is, but hello. This is from Bleach. It's I don't know if I'm probably not saying it right. Yoruichi? Yoruichi? I feel like in the English dub they say her name in a fancy way, so I don't know. Maybe that's how they say it in English, but it's probably not it. I don't know. Who knows? But this is from Bleach. I totally butchered her. But yeah. Okay, so it is 3:02. Yeah. It's Yoruichi. Saying it in like a very like mumbled way because I have no idea how to say her name. But yeah. Okay. So it is 3:02 already, and so we are going to start. Hello everybody, my name is Josh and welcome to our water stream for today. If you don't know who we are Wing Canvas. We are a tutorial YouTube channel where we run through different techniques, different art kind of, I guess, advices on our YouTube channel, and we also do these live streams every weekend from 3 to 5, and for today I'm going to be animating a water splash. So thank you and welcome everyone for joining us. But for those who are new and just joining us and don't know, we're not just a YouTube channel, we are also an art school where we have a number of different types of classes. For example, I teach the animation class as well as drawing and painting. Jesse teaches the illustration and figure drawing classes, as well as Iggy teaches the cartooning and anime classes. So if any of you those classes sound interesting, definitely check out our website, as we have a lot of different types of classes, and hopefully different schedules so that different people from different time zones are able to attend them. But yeah, I'm just gonna do kind of the usual housekeeping of things. Just give me a sec. Yeah, so kind of mentioned, we are Wing Canvas. That is our website. So if you guys want to check us out, that is our website. And the Nightbot and Kevin have been posting it in our chat. So thank you for those links. We also have Patreon. So if you would like to check out any kind of behind the scenes things or perks such as badges and emotes for Super Chat and on our Discord, definitely check out our Patreon. We also put up a lot of behind the scenes for our videos, as well as file accesses to things that we've drawn in class demos, as well as our YouTube live streams. So if those sound interesting to you, definitely check out our Patreon. And speaking of our drawing files, if you're ever curious as to the final pieces that we draw in our live streams, we do post those on our social media. So definitely check out Discord, Instagram, and Facebook, as once stream ends, we do post the drawings onto those social media groups. So if you are curious as to how the full thing looks without all of YouTube's compression or it being pixelated because you have bad connection, it will be up in all its glory in social media. So yeah, so welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us in our live stream. I am going to be animating water, but before we go into the water stuff, I'm going to go through this month's monthly challenge. So today, or not, well, I guess, yeah, today, but also this month, we have the challenge of the different elements, and that's kind of why I am animating water. And so if anybody wants to submit stuff for the monthly challenge, it is on our Discord. It is in the, let me see, what is the channel called? It is Art Challenges. So you can put your work there, and every live stream we'll pick a few submissions to put on kind of our screen and kind of give you a little bit of a promotion. So if that sounds cool, or you just want to enter into the challenges just to share your work with our fellow community, definitely do so. And so our first piece is this dragon piece done by Isiobe. I feel like that name is sounding familiar now, so I feel like this person I feel like I've for sure picked this person more than once. Yeah, this is a really cool piece. I feel like maybe, you know, this one could have also fit the fantasy theme that we had not too long ago. I think it was last month. But you know, the way that they described it was it's a fire dragon submerged in lava, and I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. It's very dynamic, a lot of very cool looking effects and lighting going on. So thank you, Isiobe, for submitting your piece. It looks really, really cool. The next one is a piece done by Silvertail. I don't know, does check desktop, does that mean anything? I don't know, but I really like this one. It's really colorful and kind of like cute, you know, with all the vibrancy and saturated colors and all that kind of stuff. So really love the designs, all the different angles that you're doing for, I'm assuming is like a Kelpie type of, oh, description. Oh man, I just aged myself so much, didn't I, Kevin? Yeah, that's funny. But yeah, this is really cool. I really love just the colors and the rendering of it. Really, really great designs. Silvertail. And then lastly, our last one is by Lucky. And this one I thought was really cool, how there's like this almost water sketchbook type of texture to it. And I like that there's these characters associated with each of the elements here. So very cool. Love all the designs and the line work and the colors chosen there. So good job. And again, this is going to be running for the entire month. So you still have almost 2 more weeks to submit your drawings, get your pieces up there so that the community can see it, but then you might also get a chance to have your work shown in our live streams. So yeah, that's kind of our monthly challenge promotion there. And thank you everyone who submitted. We really appreciate the fact that you are, you know, kind of participating in our challenges and submitting your pieces every now and then. So yeah. Okay, so before we get into the actual animation of water itself, I thought I'd do a little kind of rundown as to what we'll be doing specifically for today. As I said in the beginning, I'm not going to be running through every single aspect of how to animate water, because water is kind of challenging. A lot of it sometimes has to do with just lighting. Sometimes it just has to do with people swimming underwater in the bubbles. And other times it's just water kind of washing up on the shore. And a lot of those are kind of very mundane and very slow to animate. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to animate a splashing effect. So the one that you see on my screen right now is a splash sequence from Pocahontas, where the raccoon character, I'm sorry, I don't know the name of the raccoon character. Actually, I've never watched Pocahontas, but this character is diving into the water and is creating a splash effect. And I thought this was like a really cool example to show how Disney animators for 2D animation kind of ran through how to do splash sequence. So we'll be kind of using this as a template and kind of as a guide to how we're going to be doing a splash sequence. In the beginning first section, really quick, I'm just going to be doing a ball, or maybe I'll do like a stone or something, hitting the water. And then we got a few different aspects of the water. We got the initial touch, which is in this one, where the raccoon comes in contact with the water, and there's a little bit of it. And then we get the big splash that goes outwards. So this is going to be our next part. It's going to be creating kind of this funnel that's moving up. Miko, hey, wait. That's not a hint, Kevin. You're just telling me straight up what it is. But thank you. Thank you for having my back, Kevin. That's awesome. But yeah, we're going to be creating this funnel aspect. And the big part about the funnel is we're going to have to figure out how wide this funnel is going to get. I'm probably going to not make it too wide, or else it'll take too much time. But then after that, once it hits kind of the peak, like the height of the splash hits the highest point, it's going to start widening out even more, and it's going to start falling down in almost kind of an upside down umbrella kind of look. So that's what we're going to be doing, and it gets wider and wider until it kind of hits down and it creates kind of this kind of iconic look of water hitting the kind of bottom of the, or the surface of the water. And then this is where it's going to introduce that little blip that pops up. And so, yeah, and then it kind of holds there. So you can see that it holds for quite a few frames. So it creates this level of suspension and momentum. And then once it's held there for long enough, it starts separating and it drops back down. So there's going to be not too many sequences, but we got the initial drop, which is the, well, for me, I'm going to be animating a stone hitting the water. Then we got the water going up to reach its max height. So that's the second part. So I guess first part is going to be the stone. Second part is going to be the funnel. I feel like my stylus is dying because it like doesn't register my pen pressure. And then height, which sucks because I don't want to buy a new stylus. My tablet works perfectly fine. And then the fall down. And I don't know what this part of the water is called. I'm pretty sure there's a name for it, but that this little thing that comes up, the little splash up, maybe we'll just call it the splash. And then resting, where it's just kind of starts rippling. So it's the ripple. So we got 6 parts to kind of animate for this session, and don't worry, this was just kind of like the guide and the breakdown for how I'm going to be doing this. But now we're going to move over to Krita, where I'm going to start actually going through the animation. But this is kind of like a good simple breakdown and guide and reference point for what we'll be kind of doing pretty much. And here is a very quick template that I've made so far on how I'll be animating. So you can see that in this, on my layers panel over here, maybe I'll see if I can drag it. So here you can see on my layers panel, I have a few different sections. I've got a layer labeled splash, a layer labeled ball. Originally I was like, should it be a ball? Should it be a stone? We'll just go with stone. And this stone is going to be falling down. But you can see here that in group 3, I've actually created a kind of these guide points for my ball or my stone and the ripple of the water itself. So I'm just going to walk through really quickly as to what these things are that I've drawn onto it. Here we go. Okay, so this is interesting. Oh, thank you, Shelly. Yeah, thank you for joining us. Welcome to our stream. But yeah, so this middle line over here, this is going to be basically the trajectory of where my stone is going to be falling down. My stone is going to be kind of maybe off page over here somewhere. And then over the course of 3 frames, it's going to be falling down and then hitting the water like somewhere like right over here. And it's going to be following that vertical line that I have right in the middle. That's kind of the trajectory of how my stone is going to be falling. And then once it hits the water, remember the second part is the funnel. And so that's why I have these curves over here. I'm kind of indicating to myself as to the size of the funnel roughly, just so I have a kind of rough guiding point to show me where and how wide the funnel should expand to. So when the ball first hits the water, it's probably going to be like this, and then it's going to expand just a little bit, and then I'm going to use these curves as a guide. As I add more and more frames, I'm going to start following these curves to help guide my funnel. And these guides are not animated. I don't have any blank frames on them, meaning as I animate the stone and the water splash itself, these guides are just going to stay there. It's not going to go anywhere. So I don't have to worry about it disappearing or erasing or anything kind of like that. And just to be safe, I've locked the layer. So maybe I'll rename this as like my guide. So my guide layer is locked. This way I don't accidentally move it or delete it or edit it. But yeah, so I'm following the funnel. And then as the funnel, remember, it starts expanding, it's going to fall down. And as it's falling down, it's going to start widening even more. And when it falls down, I have these circumference rings over here to, again, give me a rough estimation as to where this water might fall to. Now, again, water is kind of organic. It's a little bit unpredictable. So if it doesn't follow the guidelines perfectly, that's totally okay, because, you know, we're going to be animating straight ahead, not pose to pose. So we'll kind of have to just see where it takes us and improvise in the moment as we start animating. But I'm kind of guessing and giving myself roughly an idea as to how far I want these ripples and this water to fall down. And then we're going to hit our last part, which is the ripple part. And I'm going to try to animate a little bit of it. Now, obviously, I'm not going to replicate the sequence that was shown in the Disney drawing, because this is way too much. As you can see, there's a lot of like particle effects. There's a lot of detail in the rippling, and there's a lot of kind of small effects going around that require quite a lot of frames. So we won't have the time to do all of that, but we should have enough time to get a very simple, rough, let's say, first pass of a water splash sequence. How I judge the number of frames you need when you're animating. Also, how do you judge the spaces in blank frames too? Well, I'm gonna tell you a little cheat. when I analyzed the Pocahontas frames, I just counted the number of frames I had screenshotted. So it was a little bit of cheating. That sequence for Pocahontas had about 50 frames, I would say. In terms of just solid frames, it was about 30, but the extra 20 are for the holding frames. But in terms of in general, when I'm animating, for like time, getting a sense of it, usually just counting it down yourself is pretty good. So I like to just go like 1, 2, 3, 4. It's kind of like music class in a sense. You want to give yourself an understanding of rhythm. And sometimes if we're animating, like let's say a ball dropping down, depending on how heavy the ball is, like let's say this is like a normal tennis ball. This ball will probably take about, I want to say 5 or 7 frames. And you might be like, okay, well, how did I know it takes about that much time? Well, half a second is 12 frames. Did the ball take half a second to drop down to the ground? No, it was a bit faster than half a second. So it's kind of a little bit of guesstimating where you're guessing and roughly estimating how much time. It's not going to be perfect your first go ahead unless you've been animating for a really, really long time. Some people kind of just end up having a really good second instinct for it. But usually a ball will take roughly maybe 7 to 10 frames to drop down to the ground. Also, it depends on how high the ball is, but if it's like, let's say, just from your head to your waist, it might be about like 7 to 10 frames. Probably going to be really quick. And then you just run it through and you just test it out. Does it feel right? Does it feel a little bit off? And if it does, then you just shorten it. If it's going too fast, add an extra frame. If it's going too slow, then take away a frame. So if you don't get it right in the first time, you can definitely give it a few, practice runs and see if it feels right. Now for holding is kind of just depending on how long you want it to suspend for. But like, for example, when the water is going to splash up, this kind of splash is going to hold there for a little bit and probably hold there for maybe 3 to 5 frames. You don't want it holding for a whole second or even half a second. Well, maybe, let's say we can hold for maybe a max of 10 frames. 10 frames doesn't feel that bad. But then by that point, it's going to have to drop back down. So it's a little bit of getting a feel for it, doing a lot of test runs, and seeing if you need to add more frames or take away more frames. And you'll see what I mean when we start animating, because it's kind of hard to explain it, and it's just easier to just walk it through and do a little demo and show you how it goes. But yeah, no, that's a good question. Hold frames or how many frames? I feel like that's kind of the general question most people have when they start animating, because they're like, how do I know? And the answer really is sometimes that there's no real exact way of knowing. You have you can like whittle it down. It's just simply asking yourself, did it take a second? Did it take half a second? Did it take less than half a second? Then you kind of just keep either expanding or whittling it down as you test it out. But yeah. Okay, so we're going to start with the ball off screen. So frame 1 is probably going to be off. And in order to not spend too much time animating, I'm probably just going to animate on every other frame. So I'm just going to jump to frame 3. And this is like a stone. So I'm just going to draw a really simple stone. Nothing too fancy. I feel like maybe this is already too fancy. But we'll just see. Okay, so yeah, I added blank frame. And then here we go, we have a stone. I'm also going to turn on onion skin. This rock, you know what? I'm just going to duplicate this one over here. And I'm going to move it straight down to roughly around there. Seems good. And we'll just expand upon the look of this stone. Now, because depending on how much time, I don't know if I would be exactly able to fine-tune every single line drawing, but I'll try to, spend some time making sure the line work's not too rough. That way I don't have to go back and refine everything, but it's not going to be super, super clean. So, yeah. Okay, just duplicating that again, and then moving it straight down to, let's let's say at this point it hits the water. Give it a shot, see how it looks. This is where I'll also maybe add the splash. Now the water, we're gonna animate this in blue just so it's easier to tell. It's gonna hit there. And we're gonna have a little bit of a starting splash. So probably gonna add water coming up here. And the water, again, I'm just gonna keep it somewhat simple, nothing too complicated, because I don't want to worry too much about the fact that it's probably gonna be quite rough. I don't want to, you know, give myself too much work in terms of cleanup or making sure it looks proper. Let's see, just started my digital artwork journey. Oh, thank you, Holly. Yeah, glad to make videos that have been helpful. I mean, mostly it's Jesse. Jesse's been kind of making the forefront of our videos, but yeah, thank you for it's so awesome that you found us and you've been finding our videos helpful. What are holding frames? The same frame image held for timing. Yeah. And bad habit of filling just about every frame just because I couldn't judge it properly. Yeah, no worry. I would say, like, you know, if you want to make it easy on yourself, you can kind of just animate every other frame, and then if you want to start tying things in, then yeah, for sure you can start filling in all the frames if you really want to, but you know, you don't have to. Okay, so, and for those who like came in late or just joining us, we are kind of following the template from Pocahontas. So if you are wondering as to like what I'm kind of studying or what animation kind of splash I'm using to help as I'm doing this, I am using the Pocahontas where the raccoon character, or as Kevin kindly hinted at, we are using Miku's dive into the water, and I am kind of using that splash to help. Okay, so this is gonna go, we'll put it maybe roughly here. It's gonna be a big splash. I mean, it's a stone dropping in, so the velocity and the amount of speed that it has to hit the water is gonna be quite big. And like I said before, I'm gonna not make it as detailed as the one from Pocahontas, because that would be a little over the top. I don't think I can do that in the span of 2 hours. But when I'm looking at this kind of, let's say, master study by the Disney animators when they're doing the Pocahontas splash, I can see that they have a little bit of an ellipse. They have a bit of perspective going on when they're drawing out the splash sequence, and it kind of looks like a crown. So something like that. Oh, gotta turn, wait. Okay. And I also have onion skin, just so I have a rough idea as to the trajectory of the water that's happening. And the great thing about organic stuff like water or fire or hair, that kind of stuff, the great thing about it is that you don't have to follow the previous frame to a T, just because, you know, it's organic, it's going to be constantly shifting, so there's no real kind of point following it completely. Now these gaps I'm noticing that they've added in here, it's kind of neat because basically water, it's kind of like a thin layer, so you know, it's going to be splashing up a little bit. Oh, the giveaway, that is a good question, the king. We will be announcing that soon. Yes, we will be announcing that soon, so don't worry about it. Yeah. For those who are curious as to what the king is talking about, we had a X Pen tablet giveaway. So it's the one with the screen. And if you answered like our survey, obviously the survey is closed right now, but if you had answered our survey, you got a chance to win a drawing tablet. So that was kind of cool. Yeah, so I'm just gonna add a few of the ripples. But yeah, as I was saying, with organic things like fire or water or hair, usually these things are pretty unpredictable. So when we animate them, we like to animate them in kind of something we call straight ahead, meaning that we don't plan for it multiple frames in advance. Instead, we kind of just do it one frame at a time, and we flip back and forth just to see how it feels and everything. So right now we only have one splash frame, so not too much to work off of. Now, once I'm noticing that for the splash up, when it goes up, it doesn't really expand too much more anymore, but it starts to just go, excuse me, it just goes a bit higher. And that's what I'm gonna do, is I'm just gonna have the splash go a bit higher and kind of widen out a little bit, but for the most part I'm going to be following the trajectory and angle that this water had. So I'm just going to keep it simple, nothing, because there's this kind of major dip that's happening over here. I'm probably going to maintain that dip, but we're still going to move it up a little bit, so that there's still a level of momentum. And here's the thing, we're probably gonna have to do quite a bit of test flip throughs, where I'm gonna be doing this a lot just to see if it works, because you know, kind of like what I was saying about I forgot who it was, but someone in chat asked, how do I know how many frames it takes to animate something? And the answer is just that it's a lot of trial and error. Kind of the fun of animating is that a lot of it is experimentation and trying things out and seeing if it works or not. So yeah, just gonna start adding some splashes and a few more breaking away in the water. Maybe something like here and something like this. Start expanding on the one that already is broken. And gonna start expanding the ripple a little bit outwards, just a little bit. And so that's why I had that have this kind of circumference around it. Helps give me a very, very rough guide as to where the ripples might be. Oops, wrong button. Meant to erase that. But yeah, it gives me a very rough idea as to where the rough ripples are and the trajectory of the kind of ripples, like the ellipse. Not the ripples, the trajectory of the ripples and like what the ellipse would be going around it. So I'm just gonna add a few more smaller ones because it's starting to push outwards probably a little bit more. I'm not on Discord. Are you announcing it anywhere? Yeah, we'll be announcing it on Discord. Yes. And thank you. I think who posted? Yes, there is a Discord link in the chat. So if you haven't joined our Discord, definitely go on Discord. You can click that link and you can join our group. That's where we post a lot of our drawings and announcements for things like monthly challenges and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it'll be good to be part of our Discord. Okay, it's probably a bit too fast right now, but you know what? It's not too. It's okay. Might be a bit overly detailed right now, but it's not too bad. And if you guys are animating, just remember to constantly save it always sucks whether you're animating or drawing and then you realize that you did not save, and that is always a big bummer. What I'm noticing for the splash in Pocahontas is that as the splash gets higher and starts going outwards, it starts curving out a little bit over here. It starts kind of curving out. I think it's to help prep for the whole umbrella kind of element as it's coming down. And because, you know, my splash is going to be a bit different from the Pocahontas one, I can't follow it exactly, you know. There's never going to be an animation sequence that's going to be the exact same. No matter how hard you want to copy it, it's always going to have a little bit of a difference, you know, whether it be the trajectory, the line work, or all that kind of stuff. There's always going to be a little bit of a difference to it. So I'm just gonna add these like extra splashes to it. I'm gonna add these extra, I don't know, these pops to the water coming up. I feel like if you're saving too much, you're still not saving enough. I feel that for sure. What's worse is like if you get a corrupted file and it's like, oh, you know what, you saved, but the file's corrupted. We can no longer retrieve it. And it's like, what? No. You gotta be kidding me. The great thing about like studying animation that's already happened is like, you know, these people have already done the work. You know, it's kind of like when we study anatomy, you know, those people have already dissected all the bodies. They've already figured out all the proportions and anatomical nuances that have to happen within the human body, but it's a great way of learning. And so if you're ever trying to like learn something specific, like an eye blink or a fight sequence, and you're like, oh, I really love that sequence, I want to learn from it, well, you know, the best way to do it is to just actually try to reanimate that sequence. So a lot of people, when they're practicing or they want to show that they're really good at animating, they sometimes recreate animation sequences that people kind of know already. So maybe it might be something from like Beauty and the Beast or some scene from like a Ghibli film. That kind of stuff is always good because people are familiar with it and they can kind of see that you have a good understanding of how to animate something that's kind of maybe even tricky, so to speak. Obviously, it's still good to have your own sequences laid out, but if you're ever trying to learn and practice, that is a good way to kind of get a feel for it. So far it's not looking too bad. So if I play right now, this is what we have. It's definitely it feels a little bit mechanical. Might have to readjust the timing of it. I think that's kind of the thing right now, is that the motion is there and the trajectory of the splash is kind of there, but I think the momentum isn't quite there. But we'll worry about it as we keep going frame by frame, because that's the kind of stuff that I think you can't quite worry too much about. At the moment, at least. Something I am seeing is that the water is starting to ease in a little bit. So this one, like you can see, these are some big changes in motion. So from here to here, that's a pretty big height jump. And then from here, it starts to slow down. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to do, is I'm trying to ease in the motion while slowly starting to settle in the water into these that kind of umbrella, upside down umbrella shape, so that when it falls down, I've already started easing into it. And I'm noticing that there's more breaking of water particles, so I'm just gonna have these pieces be breaking up a little bit. Excuse me, my bad. Should drink some water. Every saves make a backup save. Oh my goodness. You know what? As true as that is, I always hated doing that. I remember when we were first learning to do digital, and all my profs were like, not only do you want to make a save, you want to make a backup save for your save. And I'm like, what? Ain't nobody got time to do that. What do you mean make a save for my backup save? That's too much saving. But you know what? If you are very, very nervous about whether your file is gonna get corrupted or if you're gonna lose it, yeah, for sure save it in a, I don't know, in a flash drive or a USB, or upload it to the cloud or something, because yeah, you never know. Digital files, they're not safe from being destroyed forever, kind of thing. Remember, water is fluid. It is fluid. Thank you, Kevin. Remember, kids, drink water. Drink your fluids. Okay, I feel like this is a good amount of splashing. You know what, I'm just gonna add a blank frame for the ball, because it bothers me that there's a frame where I can see what, yeah, there we go. I can see the ball or the stone, and I'm like, you should not see the stone anymore. You know what? It is an underrated aspect of art books, but it is always cool when the art books include like the explosion effects for like shows. I don't know if anyone's ever taken a look at the Legend of Korra kind of art book. They have sequences where they do show what it's like to animate the explosion or the fire effects. Like, those are kind of like the unsung stuff in animation that I feel like not too many people, it's definitely not as big as like the character stuff, but it's definitely still something that is necessary, and it's still very cool, and people should kind of pay attention to that stuff too, because what would be Avatar without the special effects and the fire whooshes, you know? Okay. You know what? I know I'm gonna grab a glass. Okay, I can't. What is that typing? That's so funny. What the? Why did my stream have to drop to 240? No. I hope my water still looks like water at 240p. But art book's so bad, but shipping really? I feel like if you're getting it from Amazon, I'm pretty sure it's much more than, what is it? It's like 35, right? You need 35 to get free shipping. Unless you live in like a country that doesn't do shipping, then I can kind of see. But that sucks if you do have to pay for shipping. You know what? If you have a library, usually the libraries have some of the Legend of Korra art books, and I would say any of them are good to look at. They do a really good job of breaking down like fight scenes, storyboarding, those type of fight sequences, and they have some really, really cool character design breakdowns. So I do highly recommend taking a look at Legend of Korra art books. Yeah, they for sure definitely perfected the art of the elements. I mean, it's kind of in their name, you know? They better be able to perfect the elements, Kevin. Okay, so I think this is the height. Frame 15 is the height of our wave splash. So 17 is... I don't think I'll make it go any higher than maybe one more part, like right over here. Oh, what is this? Oh, okay. Did I? Dang it, I drew it on the wrong layer. No! Gonna have to redraw it. Okay. That's fine. That's okay. I meant to do that. Draw this extra... No, wait, why am I doing that? I don't have to... Wait. I don't have to do this. Wait, I can copy it. Wait, give me a sec. Yes. Let's see if it works. When you're animating, sometimes it's a little bit... I don't think it'll work, actually. Let me see. Yeah, because it comes in as a new layer. Dang it. No, I will have to erase it. Oh, well. Oh, well. Oh, well. That's fine. That's fine. That's okay. First live premiere. Hey, hello. Yes, this is live. Why did I say live? It is live. Rigoti or Argoti. Yeah. Oopsie daisy to shit. I know. Oh my goodness. I forgot who I was telling this to. I was telling it to someone where one of the worst things about animating is when you accidentally draw on the wrong layer. I haven't found a way around it, but I don't think Krita has a way to get around, like, if you mess up the wrong, like, animation on the wrong layer. Oh my goodness, I'm drawing it on the same. Am I drawing? Please tell me. Okay, thank you. I think I can lock the ball. I don't need the ball anymore. Get out of here, ball. Yeah, I don't think there's any way for Krita to get around that. So, okay, let's just see and make sure I have not messed up. Okay. Okay. Cool. It is working. That's a bad ellipse. Ellipses are hard, and then the fact that you have to animate ellipses make it even harder. I love it. I love ellipses. Sorry if I go silent for a bit. It's because I'm like focusing real hard. And I'm just gonna add a few more like just side ripples. And again, let's just see how this looks. Hey, this one's looking too bad. Again, a little bit mechanical, but you know, part of it's like the speed. So far, not too bad. Concentration mode, exactly. Oh my. Animation, man, it is hard talking and animating at the same time, not gonna lie. Drawing on the same layer, oh my goodness. I have never animated traditionally before. I cannot imagine what it would be like to animate traditionally. It sounds like it would be insane to try it. I would like to try it, but I don't know if I'll be able to pull it off. Which layer is correct here? When you intend to save your line art but forget to select the color layer. Actually, I don't really relate to that one. The color layer? Oh, you know what? Strange enough, I've never messed up in that regards. Like when I'm drawing something and I'm trying to like separate the layer from like line art from the colors. That has never surprisingly ever happened to me. I'm actually kind of, yeah, I've never had that happen before. That's kind of interesting. Especially in 2 hours, I know, right? Is it me or the audio a bit low? My volume is maxed out and it feels like it's 80%. Really? Oh, my ears are blocked. So, oh. Okay. Well, maybe that's why. Well, if it is a bit low, let me know. But Kevin says that it seems to be okay, and I don't want to be blasting and breaking anybody's ears. So if it's okay, then I'm just gonna keep it as is, because I've had the volume at this kind of level for a while now, and it seems to be doing okay. So you can see now I'm like really starting to push towards that bell, or the upside down umbrella shape of the water, and I'm starting to break up the pieces a little bit more so that I'm easing into that kind of funnel shape that we talked about. So this is where easing can happen. I know that we kind of talked about easing a little bit when we did the principles of animation stream, and this is kind of an example of how you can have it in something that's not, I don't know, human or a normal object. We are animating water, so something like this can be still eased into. It doesn't just have to be solid objects or people. I'm not demanding, just saying though. No worries, no worries. It's all good. 60% on the system. Okay. I mean, I think I did lower it a little bit. It's kind of hard because when I draw traditionally, I have to change the volume input just because it's spaced a bit differently. But if people want me to adjust the volume, I guess I can make it a bit louder. But if it's okay, then I'm just gonna leave it as is. Just add a few more water speckles here and there. Yeah, I feel like as I'm drawing more and more, my water is getting messier and messier. And I think I should actually break up this ripple at this point. Make it a little bit back to its original shape, which, not gonna lie, I kind of forgot about. That the water ripples fade away after a certain point. Not gonna lie, I did forget about that a little bit. Okay. It's always so cool to look at it go backwards though. It's so cool. Watching animation go backwards, kind of neat. Hey. Okay, yeah, that's not too bad. Looking a little bit savvy. Sending the audio just right in the stream is different compared to pre-recording. Yeah. It's also 5:20, so I'm not competing with much noise. I see. It's beginner, amateur animator. Water seems really fun to animate. It is. Yeah, it's definitely, I think, more chill than fire. Last time we animated hair, and I kind of animated it in a fire-like way, and if for sure fire is a little bit more hectic to animate, in my opinion, just because fire, I think, is like a bit more wild, whereas water, you know, water's chill. Water's just vibing. with the flow. It's just going with the flow. Whereas fire's like raging, you know. Fire's like, yo, what's up? You know. And I'm just gonna diminish. Yeah, I think if we had a little bit more time, I would go back and kind of change the ripple up a little bit because I forgot to diminish the ripples as they come out. And I think that's what made it look a little bit too mechanical, was that the ripples were kind of moving in a very, very consistent rate, and it was like, oh, why does it look so mechanical? So that's kind of why. I'm just gonna break up this ripple coming out. Yeah. Wacom. I mean, Cintiq is part of Wacom, so you know you're not wrong. It is a Wacom, but it is, yeah, it is a Cintiq. I am using a Cintiq to draw. I've had the Cintiq for quite a while now. It's been working pretty good. I think the only thing now that I'm noticing is that my stylus might be slowly breaking down on me, which kind of sucks because every time I try to draw really, really lightly, it kind of, I don't know, it doesn't register for some reason, and I'm kind of like, no. why this happened to me? So yeah, hopefully it's still okay, like my stylus works, but I think it is getting to that point where it is slowly kicking the bucket, unfortunately. I don't think I'm going to get a whole new stylus, though. I'm just going to have to muscle my way through the pen pressure and everything. So I'm kind of suspending and holding. So before someone asked about like holding poses, I want the water is coming down, but I kind of want these water droplets to actually have a little bit of a suspension while the overall mass of the water is actually coming back down. And you'll start to notice that my drawings are getting a little bit messier because I'm channeling the wildness of the water, even though I just said water is really chill. Let's see, how did okay. Coming over here. Just gonna start breaking up a little bit more, expanding until the water starts to get thinner. Because this kind of quote-unquote wall of the water is basically this really thin veil. And so as the water is moving, it's going to kind of break apart. It's going to stick together, kind of like with water tension. So yeah, and you can see like right now as I'm drawing more and more frames, I'm actually going to start checking it a little bit more just to make sure it all still feels overall okay. Water is just naturally messy. It is. I feel like animating elements give you the energy of the element. You know, I mean, that's kind of it for any kind of animation. You're channeling what it is you're animating. If you're animating a fighter, you have to get hyped up like a fighter or a boxer. If you're animating water, you start kind of like vibing with the water. It's chill until it's annoying. That's true. Rapids are no joke. What do I think of tour box? What is tour box? I've never heard of that. Did Iggy mention it? I'm sorry, Iggy. What is a tour box? Oh, I should give myself one of these. It's $219? $240? Oh my goodness. I mean, it looks cool though. I feel like this would be really useful to use. I've never used this before. What is this for? Is this for drawing or is this for gaming? This is just for everything. Physics. Water cannot be chill as well. I mean, look at tsunami. That's true. Yeah. It's for drawing. I have not used it, but honestly, I would like to because my desk is positioned in a weird way where I'm right-handed, meaning I draw with my right hand and my left hand is free, but I don't have space on the left side of my table because it just hits a cabinet. So I can't put my keyboard anywhere except on my lap. So it'd be nice if I could have like a little button tool, like a controller pad on my left hand. And then I can do like undo, eyedropper tool, all the other kind of miscellaneous button commands for drawing. It'd be great. For animation, it would be. Honestly, any kind of shortcut would be great, good for like animation. Makes it like easier. Because right now I do Shift V is my shortcut for pausing and playing, and Control, comma, and period to move through frames right now. So that's kind of how I've just been doing. It's just that my keyboard's positioned in a weird spot. Or not a weird spot, but in a spot that's not the most comfortable, I will say. But yeah. It would be cool. I wouldn't mind like investing in one, but it looks kind of neat. Maybe a bit too expensive, but who knows? Maybe that's just the normal price for objects like that. Who knows? Being lag free. What shape or form you're animating? Some people may see tsunamis as chill. I don't think I've heard of anyone say tsunamis are chill. I don't know about that one. But you know how turbulent and ferocious and violent it is. I don't think I've ever heard anyone describe tsunamis as chill. But you know, I guess in some ways you could maybe see it that way, but I don't think the majority of people see it that way. That's kind of funny though. Okay, so the water is gonna start coming back down. I think I've eased it enough, so I'm gonna start having these water particles break, and my water is gonna start falling down. That made it sound like I was kind of pregnant. My water is breaking and separating, but that's kind of what's happening. These gaps are slowly gonna break apart and thinning out more and more as gravity is pulling the water back down. Tsunamis are chill, destroy. You know what? I guess you could think of it about it that way, you know? That is one way to see it. And I'm just gonna continue expanding this and lowering this part as it comes down. Yeah, this is gonna be the tricky part because I also have the other side that I kind of need to animate, which I've kind of forgotten about as well, that we've got the other side to do. And yeah, it's gonna be breaking apart something probably like this, and you can see that like I'm breaking up the big parts into those droplets, so that's kind of how you show a sense of like the suspension and weight of the water breaking up apart, getting a bit more of that organic, unpredictable aspect that we've been kind of talking about. But yeah, I'm gonna try to just start breaking it up. And again, honestly, we'll just have to see how this goes. And I'm just gonna take away some of the splashes now because I think there were way too many, and just gonna put some in, keep some of them, have those droplets also fall down, but not too much. And then I'm gonna start adding the ripple again. I'm gonna have this ripple start disappearing a little bit more. This one start moving outwards and expanding. Quite relatively new. It's quite good one for our... Yeah, thank you for, well, welcome. You know, glad you were able to discover our channel. We do have a lot of videos on kind of tips and kind of tricks for drawing and not just animation. Animation, I would say, is a little bit on the newer side for us, but we have been mostly on the drawing side. And kind of just other useful kind of life tips maybe when it comes to drawing, because drawing can be quite strenuous on the hand and on the back, so yeah. Oh, my thoughts in the wrong way. I guess I was more or less speaking from a character's view when they accept their... Oh, you... Yes. Oh, I see what you're trying to say. Yeah. Yeah, water can be scary. There's kind of this place in is it northern? I think it is northern Ontario. It's called Tobermory, and then there's like I think about an hour away from there is, or in Blue Mountain, about like 30-minute drive away is a kind of park called Grotto, and they have this underground like water well that you can dive into these tunnels, and dude, it's so scary. Like, it's so dark, you can't see anything in the water. There's like a little bit of light coming through the tunnel, and it's like, there was this movie about creatures in a cave, and then after that I couldn't ever get that thought out of my mind. So anytime I go into nature where it's water in a cave and you gotta dive in, you can't see anything, I'm just like, nope, get the heebie-jeebies, can't do it. It freaks me out. Trying to fill the needs for the community? Exactly. Art is tough, so, you know, we're all here to help each other out. Escape from drawing detailed things. That is an interesting view. I feel like, isn't it the opposite, Argoti? You know, I feel like if you do animation, it's so much drawing that, isn't it a lot to do? I guess unless you do like stick figures, like you said. I guess if you do like stick figure animation or like bubble stick figure characters, then maybe it's a little bit different, but yeah. Hate water, it's scary. Okay, well, I don't hate the water. Like, I can go swimming in a pool, but like the beach is fine, but something about the deep, you know? Like, I don't know if anyone's ever swam when the water just sinks down, where the ground is no longer like height level and it just goes super, super deep. Like, that is always like, it's so fascinating, but it's so scary, you know? And I'm saying this as I'm like animating water. Okay, so on to the next one. So now I'm gonna really start shortening it. This is one where I might actually have to do a little bit of a roughing out for, because I'm trying to see how the animators are kind of breaking down this water, excuse me, water bell that's kind of happening, because it's starting to fall down, and I think they're holding the pose actually quite a bit. So for those who are just joining us, I am referencing a sequence from Pocahontas. I'm not copying it, but I'm using it as kind of a master study or a guide to kind of inform me as to how they animated a water splash. And we're definitely doing it in a more, I guess you could say, complicated, more detailed approach. I'm definitely not doing it as complicated as the way that they're doing it at Disney, but theirs is much more complicated. There's much more details in it, but I'm trying to use it as a guide to help me figure out what is needed to kind of animate a water splash sequence. So that's kind of what is happening over here. I'm actually going to reconnect this water at the bottom, and maybe we'll add a little bit of a opening over here now. I don't know, maybe that won't make any sense, but you know, we'll just go with it. And then now we'll add this other ripple that's over here. Gonna expand this outwards just a little bit, and then add kind of a new big ripple over here to replace the other one previously. Water is kind of interesting because you have to think about like, oh, how is it moving? What are how is it kind of easing and easing out, easing in, all that kind of stuff, while keeping track of the trajectory and momentum of the water. So it's kind of neat. And it is falling back down, so I am kind of pushing these things back, and I do think I should also have these start belling as well. Okay, I just made up that term. I know belling's not a real word, but I'm gonna start curving it kind of outwards like this for all of the momentum of the water as well. Because as it's falling down in kind of a curved out type of momentum. So I kind of want to make sure I'm keeping that. Straight ahead animator's best friend. It is. You know, it's very chill. It's a very chill thing to animate. I would actually say, even though it has way more detail than fire, I actually am finding that it is easier to animate than fire. Fire just is so unpredictable, and it can go in so many different directions depending on how you want to take the sequence, that it can actually get a little bit out of hand, I would say. I think this is it, actually. Just play it again, see how it looks. Hey, yeah, does not look too bad. I think as long as the overall momentum and movement of the water works, it should be okay. Hello, Rizel? Yeah, thank you for joining us. References are always acceptable. Yes. I might. Wait, you don't know how to swim? Dang. I would say, you know, maybe figure out how to swim might be a good survival skill to have. Looks pretty cool. Thank you. Yeah, we've been animating this for about an hour or so now. Less than an hour, because I don't think we started until like 3:15. So yeah. Next couple is speeding up. I should slow it. Well, yeah, that's true. It should be speeding up at this point. Okay. And let's see. I have about... We're on frame 25 right now, so we have about, you know, we're halfway there in terms of like how I'm anticipating this will be. And remember, we're going to be having the water kind of fall down like this at some point. So I have that in the back of my mind as I'm animating this. So even though I'm using a reference and even though I'm kind of slowly working at it, I am keeping that in mind. So every time I'm drawing, I'm not just saying like, oh yeah, you know, we got a bell curve, make this upside down. Like, I'm not just saying it to say it. I am saying it because that is what we're trying to aim for overall in the end. So yeah, it is gonna be something to kind of aim for, and as the water is kind of splashing down, it's gonna pull down more. I might pull this down even more now. If anybody is trying out like traditionally, like animation traditionally, and they're like, okay, wait, if you want to add more frames, like let's say you messed up and you need to speed up or slow down something and you're doing it traditionally, how do you do it? And it's like, well, you just add a piece of paper in between. So if you ever want to like change up your animation sequence, if like traditional animation seems kind of daunting because it's like, wait, how did they do that beforehand? You know, before they had layers and digital to help correct things, it's like, well, they just added a new piece of paper, or they took out a piece of paper. It's definitely going to have its own challenges, and it's still tricky in its own way, but that's how they would do it. And so if you're like doing a flip book or you're trying to animate traditionally and you're like, oh, how did they do it? That's probably the way that they did it. I'm saying probably because I've never animated traditionally before. So I am assuming that's how they would do it. It's definitely different because they also had to like scan the drawings. Man, like when I think about people who had to animate traditionally, it's always like, man, I can't. I don't know if I'd be able to do it. It's too much work. Yeah, like I gotta get the paper, gotta scan it in. That's how I can tell whether it's working or not. And it's like, man, I commend the 2D animators because digital made it so much easier. I'm gonna connect these two because it's falling into it, so it's kind of maybe combine back together. You gotta go. No, okay, bye. Maybe you already left, but yeah. So they are definitely gonna be back on. Thank you, Kevin, for answering. Yes. What brush are you using? I'm on Krita right now, but the brush I'm using is this one. Pencil Quick Shade Thin. I just took the original default one, and then I adjusted it over here. So you can edit your brushes on the edit brush settings. That's kind of on the upper side, or it looks like this icon over there. And I think I just played around with size and opacity. I think that's it. I didn't really adjust too much because I kind of like it. It's like a nice, soft, traditional feeling kind of pencil. So kind of just stuck with it, actually. It's pretty good. Yeah, I do really like it. Hey, yeah, we're gonna have a kind of once in a lifetime special event. Okay, man, I'm just exaggerating. It's not once in a lifetime, but it's gonna be a cool session where all of us streamers are gonna be on, and you get to meet us. What does that mean? I don't know. I guess you'll have to find out what that means. This is why it looks very fun. Finally can catch a stream for once. Hey, welcome Anansi. Thank you for joining us. Glad you could make it. Hope everyone's enjoying their weekend. I was gonna say your weekend specifically, but I realized, you know what, hope everybody's enjoying their weekend. It is getting cold here in Toronto, though. Did not expect it to ramp up in like how cold it is this quickly, because it was not this cold a while ago. It was like 30 degrees. It was pretty hot, and then all of a sudden the weather decided, nah, you know what? Say goodbye to 30 degrees weather, which I'm not a fan of. I prefer the cold, but it went like from 0 to 100 real quick. Yeah, it's a little flickering a bit too much, but you know what? It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I'm probably just going to start taking away the water droplets a little bit. Yeah, the temperature dropped quick. It is now like, you guys pretty cold at night now. Am I right that if you need the frames to go slower, you need more next to each other, or the same frames and faster, more apart from each other? Yeah, see, this is why it's so hard to describe animation. I'm so sorry, Gabriel. I'm pretty sure you explained that perfectly well. My brain read that, and I was like, it just went right over my head. But I'm assuming that, yeah, I'm pretty sure what you said is correct. Like, if you want to slow things down, then you make the drawings closer to each other, and you can also have the frames be kind of further apart. So if I drew the next frame here, and I made the water like barely move, then it's gonna make it look like I put it in slow motion. Like you can see the green is where the previous frame was, and then the blue lines are where my next current one is. So if I did that, it'll, within the speed of like 10 frames, it's barely gonna move, and so it'll look like it's really, really slowing down. So there's a few factors to it. It's not just drawing more frames, and it's not just spacing, it's also how much the object is moving as well. So yeah, and this is why explaining animation is kind of tricky, because you have to kind of explain it while also showing it at the same time. And yeah, it's not an easy thing to do. I think I'm gonna speed this up. It is like 4:18 on my clock. So I'm gonna start bell curving it more at this point, and I'm gonna start kind of actually connecting some of these portions together. Oops. We get those questions in Discord. Talking about the timeline. Yeah, timeline is a big part of it. Spacing of the actual objects itself is a big part of it. And also just depends on what you're animating, you know. So we're animating water right now, which has its own sense of weight. And then there's things like a bowling ball, or things like fire, which has its own sense of weight and timing to it that's going to be different from other stuff. So it's gonna just be a little bit dependent on what it is that you're animating and the kind of momentum and speed. So everything is going to have a little bit of its own kind of timing. But here is also fine. Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, this is kind of like the place to ask it, because I'm here right now, and it's kind of like a free Q&A session where you can ask your questions, your inquiries about art in general. And probably gonna break up this ripple now. Have this be on its own. It's separating from the pack. Yeah, animation is an interesting thing. There's so many different ways and so many different approaches to it. Like, you got like the super kind of story time animation stuff, you know, from like Odd Ones Out and Jaden Animations or Domix and such. But then you have like the super high-end complicated stuff that you see in like Avatar or, you know, Korra, and that kind of stuff is like way complex. And neither, I would say, is like better than the other. It's just different types of animation forms. You know, like Adventure Time is very different from Owl House, and Owl House is very different from Legend of Korra. They all just kind of have their own ways of doing sequences and timings and how to manipulate time and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of just depending on what you want. I definitely messed up these droplets, so I think I went a little bit overboard with the droplets and it didn't end up looking so great. I have not saved in a while. I just realized we kept making those jokes about saving, and I haven't saved in a while. Okay. Yeah, the waters look like they're kind of like sprinkling around. But, yeah. 2 a.m. Oh my goodness. Dang, that's crazy. I mean, I say that, but I usually also sleep around 2 a.m. Still don't know a lot about animation. Oh, yeah, I read that. 4 a.m.? Well, who's getting? You got up at 4:30 a.m. to ask questions. I doubt. There's no way. I'm calling. I'm calling that into question. That's crazy. But if that is true, I love your dedication, Madness. I guess it goes along with your name. Yeah, definitely glad you're able to join us. Sleep around 5 a.m. Oh my goodness. I used to do that because I had a bad habit of binging TV shows in the morning till like 7 a.m. And I was like, I probably should stop doing that. Yeah, different style animation definitely give you different types of emotions and vibes. It's a hot day. I think these droplets can dissipate. Is it a hot day? Today's not that hot. Yeah, I'll just be like, yeah, it is just evaporating right now. That's what it is. 22 is not that hot. It is in your animation. Ah, that's true. It can be whatever I want it to be. Stays together. True, true. Honestly, that's just gonna be for a cleanup future Josh, but I don't know if we'll get to future Josh. Future Josh will not be around to clean up the droplets. But I do like the suggestion, Argoti. I forgot. Argoti, you animate yourself, or you're just here for the vibes? You're just chilling with us. As all future things appear. Yeah, yeah. You animate. Oh, yeah, awesome. What kind of stuff do you animate? Fellow animator in the chat. Stick figure animations. Cool, cool. I like that, like that. Stick figures are definitely a very quick way to learn how to animate, I will say. If anybody wants to learn how to animate, stick figure animations are a very satisfying way to start animating too. Because you can get some cool sequences and shots very, very quickly. It's like ball practice but has limbs too. That's true. You're just moving around ball and some very, very thin sticks. It's true. Learning to animate a school assignment? Oh, okay. And we need to ask questions, get feedback from exit those monologues. Oh, wait. Were you the one asking questions? Is that why you woke? There's no way. Is that why you woke up at 5 or 4:30 in the morning to ask questions? That still sounds like a very, very, I don't know. I'm just like, there's no way. There's no way that you did that. That sounds. I, I mean, like, uh, sure. You know what? If it's for homework, I guess I can kind of see that happening. But that. You know what? I applaud you for that. If you actually did wake up at the ungodly hour of 4 o'clock in the morning just to ask questions. Maybe. Oh, you draw the sticks thick. Okay, okay. I like doing stick figure animation as well. They're very good for planning things out too, like getting a feel for how you want to capture movement and momentum. Yeah, tree rendering. Heck yeah. Tree rendering. trees, you know what? I used to be intimidated by trees too. You know, like when they got us to like do sketchbook assignments. I'm like, oh, draw a tree. And I'm like, there's too many things. There's too many leaves and sticks. I can't draw all that kind of stuff. And later on, you just kind of realize, oh, you know, you don't have to. You're not supposed to draw every stick and branch and leaf that's there. You just kind of go with it. I think it definitely didn't make it fall. I think it's falling too slow. It's the splash got big, but you know, I think I'm gonna take away some frames. I think here is when it should start falling. You know, I'm gonna take this one away. And let's see how that goes. Just gonna shorten it by 1 frame. It didn't really change too much. Yeah, it's hovering in the air a bit too long. I think I know there's no straight aheads, but I think I'm gonna try to do a little bit of a straight ahead. Let's see. I'm gonna just draw a very extreme in the future type of splash and see if that kind of matches the momentum of the splash. Glowing trees. Hey, yeah. Easier than people? I guess, yeah, in some senses. I guess you could say that trees are easier than people in some ways. You know, trees are just... Nature is hard in its own way. People are hard because, you know, we're very stingy about the way people look when we're looking at them, because like we know exactly what they look like, we know what the faces should look like, and so when we mess up the faces, it's like it's very, very obvious. Whereas for trees, you can kind of technically mess up the shape of trees and no one would bat an eye technically, but I would say the tricky part about nature painting or nature drawing in general is just the fact that it's all lighting focused. So if you don't get the lighting done properly, then it's gonna look kind of weird, a little bit weird. I love how when this first started, the drawing was very clean, and I was like, yeah, we're gonna make this really proper and clean. And then now I'm just like, nah, you know what, I just want to get ahead, see what it looks like as the water's coming back down. I am not going to worry too much about how clean the drawing is, because I just want to see how it's going to turn out. Okay. How come it still feels slow? That's crazy. Okay. You know, I'm just gonna fully go at it and get it to the part where the water completely falls down, and we'll see how it goes. Slush. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely if you're painting digitally, textured brushes are great. Yeah. Sketches are too good looking. Yeah, I love sketches way more. In UTC, what's UTC time? Never heard of UTC time before. Sketches? Oh, universe. Wait, what? That doesn't make any sense. The universal time. That it's the time for all people. Universal time. Share your creations. How long did this take? Oh, weird. Did you just join us? Hey, hello. It's the new GMT, really? Global. Wait, what is GMT stand? Is it global? Good morning, Toronto is what it stands for. Oh, Greenwich. Greenwich? Is that how you pronounce it? Greenwich time? I'm just saying GMT, Good Morning Toronto, because it's like GMA, Good Morning America. But GMT is Good Morning Toronto time. Hello. Time measure like EST, I don't know how it is. It's pronounced Greenwich. Greenwich time. Hello, Breslin. Thank you for joining us. We have about half an hour left. I am animating water right now. I'm just kind of letting it run as I'm looking through chat just to catch up on what some people are saying. I'm learning about Universal time, apparently. The first thing that came to mind was Universal Studios, like the theme park, Universal time. But I had no idea that that was like a thing, Universal time. Why did they name it Universal time? That doesn't like specify anything though. It's so weird. Also, let me see. It's just I am going to check because I believe, yes, there was the submission for the X Pen. Trying to see giveaways. Okay, I will have to check back because I think I am supposed to announce it today, but I'm just gonna check to see. Yeah, just give me a sec, everybody. I think Daria is also away. Actually, Kevin, do you know? Do you know if where the giveaway notes are? Just trying to make sure, because the surveys were definitely there. The last day to submit for surveys for the X Pen giveaway was yesterday. Yesterday was the last day. I'm just trying to check now if there was a specific place. Yeah, but if not, I'll check later. Okay, gonna move on. This is our animation sequence so far for the water coordinated universal time. Thank you for your tutorials. Oh yeah, no worries. You're welcome. Glad you have found them useful. Yeah, animation's kind of been a new thing we are definitely trying out. One time I deleted a couple frames on animation and it became way better. Yeah, I think that's what's happening with my splash, is that I kind of overdid the timing for when the water comes back down. Like I didn't space it enough. I think from here to here, like that's too close to proximity. And yeah, that is way too much. Maybe from here, you know, maybe let's see. Let's delete this one. Let's see what happens if I think it's you know what? I think I don't have enough holding. So maybe I'll actually do a holding, because it's like it's moving too uniformly. So it goes up, let's say here. I'm gonna duplicate this frame actually. Gonna have a holding frame. Let's see how that let's see how that turns out. Yeah, I mean, it's weird because everything's moving and then all of a sudden there's like one frame that doesn't move. This is definitely something that I would like fix later. Maybe not now. Yeah, it's too fancy. It's a little bit too like kind of like glittering in a sense, but part of it is like the momentum. It's not coming down properly. I'm gonna do something. Wait, let me see. Hold here. Well, let's just take one more out and let's see. Yeah, that's a little bit better in terms of timing. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. Um yeah, we'll see. We'll see. It's better make sure the next frame is extra smooth. Yeah, well, we'll see how it goes, because, even though this is straight ahead, it's just gonna be dependent on how it all kind of feels as it's coming together. Yeah. Actually, this is too close. I'm just gonna restart this one. It's definitely a much faster dropping sequence, so I think I'm just gonna have to reevaluate how it is. But for now, I'm just gonna keep going. Just gonna shrink it, make some bigger changes to the sequence. Never back down, never give up, yeah. That's the thing with animation, don't give up part way through, because you never know if how it'll look once you put it all together. Actually, you know what? That's a good philosophy for all types of drawing, You don't want to kind of stop halfway, because if you're drawing something and you're like, oh, that's too dark, and then you put in the background, and the background is even darker, you realize that the stuff that you painted beforehand was actually not as dark as you thought it was, because of contrast theory. So don't stop halfway, and that's not what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna keep going with this and just see how it's coming together. I'm gonna just see how see if it works if I just kind of add these. No, I'm not gonna add the splashes. We're gonna stop with the splashes for now and see how it goes. Yeah, that's a bit too fast. Okay, let's see. Because these droplets kind of disappeared, so I'm just gonna add them like maybe here. It's broken up. They've broken up and they are on a break. I don't know if anybody will get that reference. We were on a break. Animating a sunrise. Okay, so the giveaway will be, let me see. We will be emailing the winners. So, yes, for those who have signed up for the X Pen, we have gotten confirmation. For those who signed up who have done the survey, and if you did the survey, you got a chance to win an X Pen tablet, and it will be announced soon as to who the winners are, but the winners will be receiving an email, so keep your eyes peeled. If you have given us the correct information, you will receive an email if you have won the giveaway. But yeah, thanks for everyone who have been kind of signed up and did those surveys so that you had a chance to get an X Pen, but that is how it is going to be. It is. I am not announcing it today, so yes, just for those who have been on since the beginning of stream and kind of were like, oh, who's going to win the X Pen? It's not going to be announced here, but the winners will find out soon. Yeah. What's the hardest thing to animate? Probably people. People will always be one of the hardest things to animate. Like real life, like very detailed people, I would say. Crowd scene, yes. So like things with interactions, things where people need to interact or hold things or come in contact with another person, because it's no longer just one character. You're kind of coordinating a sequence together, and it requires quite a bit of planning and kind of figuring out. So I would say, yeah, people, and it doesn't even have to be like multiple people. Sometimes just people interacting with an environment can be pretty tricky too. Or just in general, when you're animating things that you've never done before, that in itself can be kind of tricky. So yeah. As you can see, this is kind of my first time animating water too, so you know. Or a splash, you know. So usually it's like characters or people, like faces is what I'm more used to. But effects animation is kind of its own thing. So getting the momentum. It's definitely helped that I've taken away a few frames. So I took away some frames around here. But yeah, that falling motion just was not, it was just too slow. I was actually looking at some sequences from Atlantis when they're swimming, and there's a sequence where both, I think, Kita and Milo pop out of the water, and the water like splashes out, like out of their, like off their head, and I was like, dang, that looks so smooth. But when you pause it and play it frame by frame, it's not actually as detailed as I thought it was. So sometimes the key to a good animation is knowing how many frames you need, and sometimes doing the tough job of taking away some frames, which I am doing now. I'm just gonna take away frames, see how that looks. And sometimes it might not look good. So we are gonna redo that. We're gonna put that back in. I think also there's this like sense of anticipation of this water finally hitting the surface of the water, and I've stopped it. So it's kind of like and then it doesn't hit the water. Staging in animation, multiple people, yeah, staging. You know what? Animation is I forgot who, someone, or no, just even like directing a film. It's kind of like running a circus. You're managing so many different elements, you know. For animators, sometimes if you're just animating character, it can be super easy because it's just maybe one character, and then other times you're kind of juggling multiple things happening, like clothing or costuming and all that kind of stuff, and it becomes like trying to manage a circus, and it can get pretty challenging. So animation can be hard, can be tricky, but it's it can be a lot of fun too. So even if it's rough like how it is right now, I would say this is kind of at its rough stage, rough exploration stage for water, a water sequence in animation. And effects animation is its own thing too. So things like explosions, smoke, fire, water, those things are kind of in a category on its own. And so that's why when you watch like movies and you see like effects, usually they're kind of in their own category. Okay, we're gonna add this little blip. I don't know what it's called. I'm pretty sure there's like some kind of anatomical water term for this splash up when this thing comes up. I just don't know what it's called. And I keep moving away the circumference. I keep changing the ellipse of this. Okay. I did a similar thing with some Jujutsu Kaisen 0 fights because it was curious. It's just 3. Yeah, if you look at a lot of fight sequences, they are actually not as complicated. Well, okay. Complicated in the sense that there's not that many frames. Usually they happen in like 1 to, like, not 1, but they happen in like 3 to 5 frames, and they're these really dynamic big action, and it's all kind of an illusion. It's all just a magic trick to make it feel like something big is happening when there's actually not that much happening in the sequence. It's really fascinating, actually, like, to kind of analyze and break down. So I'm gonna make this blip smaller because it kind of felt like it popped out of nowhere. It's definitely a little bit better now that the water's coming down a little bit faster. It's giving that like almost satisfying like splash where everything is finally hitting the surface of the water and it's all settling down. But now's the hard part where I have to kind of animate this weirdly shaped kind of crown where the water hits the surface and this thing starts coming up. Maybe I make it go higher. So if this is kind of like the ball bounce where this splash thing is coming up, it eases in, and then as it goes higher it goes really, really high up. So there is that. And I'm kind of just settling down this water so that I'm showing the displacement as well as the ripples. It's gonna probably look a little weird, but hopefully it conveys the idea and the momentum of the splash. Okay, wait. That was actually not too bad. I just kind of ease in some of the lines a bit more so that the transition is a bit easier to take note of. Yeah, something like around here or something. They be playing mind games. Yeah, part of my research and understanding was breaking down others' animation. I have 300 JPEGs from Eve's fights. Oh yeah, that was so good. Like the fight song animation sequence. Yeah. Oh, I forgot what it was. If you look at Hades, I love using Hades trailer, like the animated trailer for the game Hades. It looks really complicated, but if you actually take a look at the fight sequence and how much the character actually moves around, it's actually not that much. He doesn't move that much, but it looks like he does. It's like really, really cool. So if you want to analyze if you want to analyze a really good fight sequence, I highly recommend the Hades trailer. It's really, really good example of kind of an illusion of motion and action where it looks like it's a lot, but it's actually not. Legend of Korra was really, really good. It was so good. And yeah, thanks, Kevin. We will be posting this afterwards as well. So if you missed it, or if it was like you weren't able to catch all of the entire live stream and you want to see it from the very beginning, it will be posted afterwards. So yeah. I'm just now creating these multiple ripples and I'm trying to map it and match it to the kind of the ellipse that I've drawn on the surface of the water already, because that kind of gives me a good idea as to the perspective of this. So that's kind of what the guide is there for. If you look at my like layers, I have a guide kind of panel, and that's kind of what that's there for, is to just kind of show the trajectory and the perspective of the scene, so it's just easier to keep track of. And for those who are just joining and don't know, we are referencing kind of the Pocahontas splash sequence where the raccoon character kind of hopped in and made a giant splash. So I'm kind of using that as a reference point for learning how to do a splash sequence in kind of like the style of Disney animation. It's definitely more complex, and again, mentioned this before, but I'm not going to make it as complex as the Disney one, but it was kind of to study it and analyze it and try to somewhat replicate it. Yeah, it's a bit too slow, but I wonder what happens if I take this then. Yeah, I feel like that kind of works. I feel like I guess I could take this one. Yeah, you know what? I'll take this out. Don't need it. I'm gonna duplicate this one and just have this be a bit higher. And I think, let's see, just gonna move these around maybe, and take away these ones over here. Breadcrumbs. Saw you breaking it down. I agree, it's not much, and they didn't rely to have on smearing too much, which is good. Will you be sharing the working file on Patreon, Josh? If it's the one that's kind of asked for. So I will be saving this file on my own, and if it's one of the files that they want to put on Patreon, it will be. Yeah, so if you guys do want, we do post a lot of files, like our working files, whether it's the ones on stream or it's the ones that we've done in class demos that you guys probably would have never seen before. We do put those up there, so if you guys are curious as to how the files are and want to kind of use them to break down our work process and our thinking process, that's kind of what Patreon is kind of good for, because you get to take a sneak peek at how our drawing process works, or in this case, animation process, how this animation process is kind of working. I will say, like, if don't mistaken the Hades 2 trailer versus the Hades 1 trailer. Hades 2 trailer got a little bit more budget, so they got a few more frames, but the animation for Hades 1 trailer is really, really good. Let's see. 20. Yes, exactly. I do 20 drawings at a time. I don't think it's 20. Let's see. What's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We've done 14 drawings so far. 14 and the rock falling down, so I guess 17 drawings? Close to 20. That was a pretty good guess, Kevin. You're almost spot on. Hey? Thank you, Argoti. Thank you. You know what? Maybe I'll just make it... What if I just make it not every other frame? What if I make it on ones? Let's see, because when I'm scrubbing it through like this, actually it doesn't look that bad. I just got to see where the ball one is, though. Let's see. Because the ball hits... Okay, it's right here. I think... You know what? Let's give it a shot. It's going to be a little bit tedious, but... Let's do it. Let's make it all one. Let's animate it on ones, and you know, let's put a new spin on it. a little fresh look at it and see if it works. Yeah, that's way too fast. That's funny. Did not work. Actually, maybe when it's falling down. When it's falling down, I could have it go into ones. Actually, yeah, let's try that. Let's see. And then maybe we go back to 2s for this one. I'm just experimenting with spacing. Instead of redrawing everything, just kind of experiment. Let's see. You know what? Oh, you know what? This actually kind of works. Hey, I'm onto something. Hey, let's go. Hey. Because I feel like the drawings were there. It's just like the spacing wasn't quite there. So, okay, I'm gonna put this into ones, and also let's see how this turns out. It might be a little laggy at first because it has to kind of render the sequence. Yeah, that's actually look a lot better. A lot better. Yeah, a lot of it is sometimes just like seeing what happens. My short Argoti? Is that maybe extend the beginning more frames, not less? The beginning? Oh, you mean like this area? I mean, I could. That's like a spot. Let's see. Well, this part can't because this is like when it's splashing up. It's like a big, and then this is supposed to be holding. So that's why originally. Oh, you know what? Let me space it out. We're at a point where we're just experimenting with space and time. We are experimenting with space and time. And also, it takes a while for the timeline to kind of catch up in rendering speed. You know what? That kind of works. Let me turn off onion skin because I think that's kind of lagging it a bit. You know, that kind of works. I mean, this is like a pretty good rough block of animation sequence, I would say. Definitely a lot of cleanup to be done, but much, much, much better in terms of timing. And we didn't even have to redraw anything or anything. I just realized it's 5 o'clock. No! You know, at least I got the splash down. Didn't get a chance to have it settle in, but we got the splash. This is kind of what we have so far. Unfortunately, couldn't have the full settling in, but water sequence can go on and on because of like the rippling and the effects and the extra splashes, I guess, if you wanted to add those. But you know what? I like that in the last 10 minutes, we spent some time kind of finessing the timing and the spacing of the splash, that it kind of came together in the end a little bit better. So, yeah. So you got, yeah, just gotta go for it. My name, trial and error is my game. Oh my goodness. You may call me random guy. Is that what it stands for? Random guy on the internet? Oh, is that what it stands for? Random guy on the internet? Oh my goodness. Never animated before, but it looks great. Thank you, Clovers. Hey. But it looks cool. Thank you. Thank you. This inspired you to start. Yeah. So thank you everyone who joined us for animation. I think I'll end it here because it is 5 o'clock, and I would say we did or when I say we, well, you know what? Thank you for accompanying me as I animated, but I think we did a pretty good job of getting to a decent section for the splash and all that kind of stuff. So we're gonna call it here. You know, in the end, came up to around 17 drawings. So for a splash sequence, that's not too bad. It's definitely on the rougher part. There's a lot of cleanup to go into this. Would clean up the splashing, and especially like the kind of glittering, kind of speckling effect that's happening around like frame 20, like 15 to 20. That's happening. I would probably clean that up a little bit, but for a kind of rough layout and planning for it, I would say this is not too bad. But yeah, that's kind of it. Thank you everyone for joining, and just kind of run through things as usual. But for those joining us, this is the end of the stream. This was a stream where I ran through how to do a splashing animation sequence on Krita, and we used Pocahontas's kind of splash sequence to kind of analyze how the 2D animators on Disney did it. And so this is kind of what we came up with. And if you did miss our live stream, no worries about that. We do post our live recordings afterwards, right after the stream ends. So if you want to scroll through it or rewatch it again, just to kind of put it on the background, or rewatch how I animated a splash sequence, you can do that because the video will be going up. And I'm just going to run through things again where I just go through who we are. We are a channel called Wing Canvas. As you can see, we are a YouTube channel, but we are also a school where we teach a bunch of different classes. I, for example, teach animation as well as drawing and painting classes for a lot of the advanced students. And this is our website. So if you want to check out our classes and all the different kind of the schedules to see which one works best for you, we have a lot of different learning options, such as you can attend live in our virtual classes, or you can attend our recorded learnings. Those are some different options for our classes. But we are not just a YouTube channel, we are an online school. So if that does sound interesting, feel free to definitely check it out. And if you liked our stream and our videos, feel free to definitely give us a like and a subscribe. This way you are notified about all our videos, all our tutorial videos, as well as upcoming streams. Like, for example, tomorrow Iggy will be demonstrating how to do glowing trees, which sounds really cool, and it will be going up around the same time, so 3 to 5 p.m. EST. And if you want to support us, we are able to do these videos and these streams because of you guys and your support, and Patreon is a great way of supporting us. And not only this kind of messed up there, but if you do support us on Patreon, you do get a lot of perks such as emotes, badges, and exclusive access to videos and working files, such as possibly this one or even class demos. You'll also get, depending on the tier that you go for, you might get class recordings from one of our classes, and also you might even possibly get to attend one of our classes for free because you supported us on Patreon, where we are super thankful and grateful for. And I will be posting, or not me, but our social media kind of crew will be posting this animation sequence on our social media. So if you have not done so, feel free to definitely follow us on Discord, Instagram, and Facebook, because this animation sequence will be posted on our social media platforms. So if you want to take a look at it without all the compression and the lag, that is where you'll be able to see it in all of its glory. So yeah, that's kind of it. Thank you everyone for joining our stream. It was awesome talking with everybody and chatting to people about animation and water and everything like that. So yeah, and that's kind of it. Will this be saved on the channel? Yes, it will be. That's great. I missed the whole thing. Yeah, no worries. It will be posted. And yes, thank you, random guy on the internet. I'll see you, and see you everybody else on chat. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you the next time I stream. Which I believe might not be anytime this month, I don't think. I think it will be Jesse next week. So, yep. Okay. Bye, guys. Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye.